Number 10, $1 Million Game. In October 2019, guests at a 4-star Switzerland hotel reported late-night disturbances in a room next door. When someone went to the room to check, they discovered the dead body of a British heiress on the bathroom floor. 22-year-old Anna Florence Reed from North Yorkshire was enjoying the round-the-world trip as her gift from her multi-millionaire father, Clive Reed. She decided to stay at a luxury lakeside Swiss hotel called La Palma à Loch in Locarno with her 29-year-old German boyfriend, Mark Schatzel. At around 3 a.m., guests staying in the neighboring rooms heard a couple arguing and complained to the hotel staff. A porter was sent to calm the situation down. However, a few hours later, a clearly agitated Mark appeared in the lobby and told the staff that his girlfriend was feeling sick. An ambulance was called, but medics were unable to revive her and she was pronounced dead. An autopsy report revealed Anna had been strangled to death. Of course, the blame was instantly put on the boyfriend as it appeared that she'd been strangled with a towel. Mark, on the other hand, said that it was a tragic sex accident gone wrong and nothing more. This is where it gets interesting though. 5 months after Anna's death, her credit card was found in a hotel lift, which could only mean one thing. Mark intended to steal money from the millionaire all along. As a result, he was eventually charged with murder. Number 9, false lookalike. In October 2021, a horse trainer was shot to death while she was staying at a Minnesota resort. However, a police investigation revealed that she wasn't even the real target. 46-year-old Bethany Bernatsky had only moved into the Cozy Bay resort a few weeks before. Her stay was pretty normal for the most part. Little did she know, though, that she'd get caught in the crossfire of a dangerous domestic drama unraveling across the street. Apparently, the accused gunman, 29-year-old Cameron Moser, was trying to get revenge on his ex-girlfriend, who was the daughter of the resort's former owners. His reasoning? She wasn't doing drugs with him anymore, so on one fateful day he had the twisted thought of ending her life. Now the thing is, Bethany looked a lot like Moser's ex-girlfriend. She had the same body structure, height, and hair color. He went to the resort armed with a rifle and a handgun. He saw Bethany from a distance and opened fire, mistaking her for his ex. Police were instantly alerted, and when they arrived, had a 2-hour standoff with Moser before eventually convincing him to put down his weapons. When they finally arrested him and went to check to see if everything was okay, they discovered Bethany's dead body. She had been shot multiple times. Moser is currently behind bars with a $1 million bond and faces a charge of second-degree intentional murder. Number 8, sketchy vacation rental. In November 2018, a Florida woman went missing after staying the night in a sketchy Airbnb apartment. Carla Stefaniak was visiting Costa Rica for her 36th birthday with her sister-in-law, April Antionetta. While they'd been together for the entire trip, April had to leave a day early due to some flight scheduling stuff. So Carla took her to the airport in an Uber, dropped her off, and returned to the Airbnb to prepare for her flight the following morning. Carla started to feel a bit uneasy as the place didn't seem very safe. In fact, she even called it sketchy in one of the texts she sent to her family. Her last message was received at around 8 p.m. when she said that she was going to ask a security guard for some water. No one heard from her after that. She never made her flight home. The authorities launched a search for her, but it wasn't until a week later that dogs sniffed out her body, which was partially buried and wrapped in plastic in a wooded area behind the complex. Clues led investigators to the guard of the vacation rental, the one Carla asked for water. 32-year-old Bismarck Espinoza Martinez was arrested and charged with murder. Martinez had used his position at the hotel to enter the room Carla was renting through Airbnb and kill her. Blood was found all over her room. According to the medical examiner, she suffered blunt force trauma to the head and she'd been stabbed 7 times, including her palm, which meant that she tried to defend herself against her attacker. Martinez was sentenced to 16 years in prison. Number 7, the Blue Lagoon. In July 2022, a newlywed Memphis pharmacist was murdered on her honeymoon while she was staying at a $2,000 a night resort in Fiji. 39-year-old Christy Chen Dawson was on a luxury holiday with her new husband Bradley at the Turtle Bay Resort, which is also the site of a movie called The Blue Lagoon. The pair had just gotten married 3 months prior and wanted to have a lavish honeymoon at this exotic resort. A couple of days into their stay, Christy was found in a pool of her own blood. She had been beaten to death in one of the private beach huts. Her new husband was nowhere to be found in the immediate aftermath. All signs pointed to him as a suspect, and he was eventually arrested and charged with her murder. But he said it wasn't him. He blamed one of the resort's private butlers. For context, each couple has their own private island on the resort with personalized tours, dinners, and other cultural experiences. On top of that, they've got a personal butler who arranges everything and guides couples through various off-site attractions that are designed to emulate an immersive Fiji experience. Bradley refused to submit his DNA for forensic testing. An investigation revealed that Bradley had actually been to the resort before with a previous wife. While Bradley has been charged with murder, he maintains his innocence and claims that Christie's death was an accident. The case is still playing out. What do you think will happen? Let us know in the comments below and hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Number 6. Red Sand. In September 2019, a transgender woman was found hacked to death on a beach resort in Bolinao, Pangasinan. Jessie Remedo, who worked at the Philippine resort called Valdevia, had just finished her shift for the day and was ready to wind down by getting a few drinks with her coworkers. While they were setting up for a fun night together, Jessie excused herself to go and buy cigarettes. Hours went by and she never returned. The next morning, someone walking along Patar Beach discovered her body. She was covered in blood, making the white sand around her look red. All she had on was her underwear and a red kimono-like top. She had been fatally stabbed in her neck and eye. Jessie was well known in the LGBTQ+ community, and it's unknown whether she was the victim of a targeted attack. Despite all the efforts to get to the bottom of the mystery, her killer hasn't been found to this day. Number 5. Hotel death. In June 2019, 3 American tourists died of seemingly similar causes in less than a week at a Dominican Republic resort. 41-year-old Miranda Schaub Warner was celebrating her wedding anniversary with her husband at the Grand Bahia Principe resort in La Romana. After checking in, Miranda had a drink from the minibar. Moments after downing the drink, she had a heart attack and collapsed on the floor. Her husband and paramedics tried to resuscitate her, but there was nothing that they could do. Sadly, she passed away. Authorities chalked it up to her pre-existing heart conditions that may have been triggered. But just 5 days later, the same thing happened to a couple from Maryland, which meant that there was definitely something else at play here. Nathaniel Holmes and Cynthia Day checked into the resort a few days after Miranda's death. When they failed to show up in the lobby for checkout, the resort staff entered their room to check on them. They were both dead on the floor. There were no signs of violence, and similar to Miranda, it appeared that they both died of respiratory failure. Despite this eerie connection, no evidence was found linking Miranda to the couple or to anything malicious at the resort, so nothing really came of it. As of today, their deaths are still a mystery. Number 4. Rogue employee. In May 2019, a Delaware woman was brutally beaten and left to die at a resort in the Dominican Republic. Tammy Lawrence Dadley had just checked into the Majestic Elegance Punta Cana resort a day earlier with her friends and husband. On the second night, she ventured out to a neighboring building to get some snacks because room service wasn't responding to her calls. There was a lounge on the beach that had what she needed, but to get there, she had to get through this shady rotunda between the buildings. As she was walking, she heard heavy footsteps approaching from behind. Before she could even react, she was knocked down to the ground. Looking up, she could see her attacker was wearing a resort security uniform. He pulled her to a maintenance room, and according to her, she tried to fight back, but he was too strong. For the next 8 hours, she was strangled multiple times to unconsciousness. Her attacker then dragged her down concrete stairs to an underground wastewater area where he kicked her in the head and beat her with a club. He then choked her one last time to finish her off and leaves her to die in a ditch. Thankfully, Tammy was eventually found and recovered by the resort security team. She doesn't know what else was done to her because she was in and out of consciousness during the whole ordeal. She spent 5 days in a hospital where she underwent surgery for her injuries. The resort has claimed no responsibility for the attack since she could not identify her attacker, even though she said he was wearing a uniform with the resort's logo. Number 3, if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. In July 2022, the chef of an Indian hotel stabbed a waiter multiple times with a kitchen knife. The reason? A food order gone wrong. Madhav Mandal had been working as the head chef at a 4-star hotel in Andheri East for almost a year. He'd never really shown aggression toward his co-workers during that time, but it seems like he may have binged Hell's Kitchen. When one of the waiters, Jagish Gagal, complained about the order he got from the chef, Mandal started an argument that kept getting increasingly combative until the hotel manager had to intervene. The next morning, Mandal and Jalal's argument from the night before heated right back up. This time around, though, there was no manager to break them apart. The two went back and forth until Mandal just snapped. He was chopping vegetables at the time and turned around and stabbed Jalal in the chest and back over and over again. The waiter was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late by that point. He succumbed to his injuries and died. The chef pleaded with the court that he wasn't in his right mind and the rage took control of his body, but it didn't matter. He was charged with murder and sent to prison. Number 2, senior trip to Mexico. During spring break in March 2021, a senior high school trip turned into a terrifying nightmare when students discovered a dead woman at their resort. Students from 3 different high schools, Lafayette, Eureka, and Kirkwood, were staying at the now Jade Riviera Resort, some 25 miles or 40 kilometers south of Cancun. It was supposed to be a fun vacation, one to remember, as they were about to graduate and may never see each other again. While walking through the hotel grounds, 3 seniors stumbled upon a crime scene. Police were already there, but they could still see the bloody body of a woman that looked like she had just been murdered. But it was later found out that the woman had actually fallen from a balcony on the 4th floor. The victim was the mother of a student who was chaperoning the school trip. The tragedy added to the already bad streak of murders and shootings around resorts in Cancun. In fact, within the span of a couple months, at least a dozen tourists had been caught in turf wars between rival gangs, resulting in bystander casualties. The woman at the Jade Riviera fell from her room in what was deemed an accident, so there wasn't actually any malicious intent there. Number 1, the Dance of Death. In January 2021, a girl recorded a dance video for TikTok while getting ready for a birthday party. Minutes later, she was found dead in her hotel room. 16-year-old Kalisha Williams was staying at the Hyatt Regency Atlanta, where she had to get ready for a birthday celebration at another location. During her brief stay, she decided to record and upload a dance video for her TikTok. The video shows her happily dancing before appearing startled as if someone had just entered the room. Then the video cuts off. The video was made at around 12 a.m. 20 minutes later, she was being dragged out of an elevator by 2 guys saying that she'd been shot. Police arrived at the scene in the downtown hotel district and found the teen suffering from an apparent gunshot wound to the groin area. Kalisha was then rushed to a nearby hospital where she was pronounced dead. A suspect was later arrested and is being held at the Metro Youth Detention Center. Due to his age, his identity has not been released to the public. According to investigators, she got into an argument with a young male while they were in one of the rooms. Apparently, this fight led to the boy shooting her. The suspect was arrested and charged with felony murder, reckless conduct, and possession of a pistol. Thanks for watching. Would you rather get food poisoning from a fancy resort you're staying at and not be able to enjoy your vacation, or get your fingers slammed in a car door? Tell us what would be worse in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time on The Bad Badger.